Hello, welcome to the Quakes Motel. My name's Conan. In today's video, a little bit different. I was preparing for a video this morning and it suddenly dawned on me that I've been using MPCs for 35 years this year. And it was quite a shock, to be honest. So I thought rather than do the video I was going to do, which I'll do next week, I thought I'd do a discussion piece. Let's jump in. So as I said, a little bit different today. I was preparing for a video, I was doing some research for a video, and I just came across an article on the timeline of MPC releases. And it suddenly dawned on me, in 1990, I was working in a studio and I was very, very lucky, had an SSL desk and we had a bit of money to spend and we bought an MPC 60. At that point, it was already a couple of years old. And it was second hand from another studio in London. And it still cost us a lot of money. I was a drummer. I had been a drummer since I was 5 years old. And so I gravitated towards it. I'd been using drum machines throughout the 80s and drumming on a live kit throughout the 80s. So I kind of gravitated towards it. And I remember thinking, this was designed by Roger Lynn. Didn't know too much about him. There wasn't the internet then, so it was kind of what you'd read in magazines, that kind of stuff. And I remember thinking, this isn't going to be very good because Lynn drums were not cool at all in the late 80s, early 90s. It wasn't a cool thing. I was into house music and hip hop, and you didn't use Lynn drums. Nobody used a Lynn drum on a hip hop track. Well, not really that I was aware of. Prince was using them, obviously, and there were a few other kind of, artists that weren't considered to be cool were still using them, but they weren't a cool thing. And I'd heard about the EMU SP1200, and we just couldn't really get one in the UK. They were difficult to get hold of in the UK and super expensive. So we got the MPC 60 instead. But I do remember thinking, this Roger Lynn guy, not cool. The Lynn 9000 as well, was it 9000? I'd used one of those and I didn't rate it at all, didn't like it. Despite the fact I liked a lot of records in the 80s that used Lynn drum machines, especially electro stuff. But like I said, it wasn't really considered cool in the late 80s and the 90s. So I started using the MPC 60 in 1990 and absolutely loved it. Suddenly, Roger Lynn was cool to me. He's brilliant. I love him. Although I do remember sort of fooling myself. Well, all he's done is design this. There aren't any of his drum sounds on there because I'm having to sample in my own sounds. Sounds stupid, really. So I used the 60 for a while, good few years, and then the 3000 came out, and I literally sold everything I owned to buy the 3000, my soul included. And at the time, that I felt like I'd arrived. That was it. And I had an SP1200 as well, but the 3000 for me, again, I didn't really know who was using it. There wasn't the internet. There were just some magazines, Blues and Soul I used to read quite a lot, but you didn't really get articles where you could read up on what your favorite artists were using, so I had no idea who else was using the 3000 or the 60 before that, or even the SP1200, to be honest. It wasn't really documented. People weren't crazy like they are now about what instruments people were using or what technology people were using. It just wasn't really a thing. That, I think, came about with the advent of the internet and the fact that information could be found a lot easier, with Google search engines coming in the late 90s, I guess. But I do remember absolutely loving the 3000. And this was kind of what made me want to write this, shoot this video, was that when the 2000 came out in about 97, I think I've worked out it was about 97. I probably could check, actually. I think it was 97. My 3000 became completely dormant. I absolutely loved the 2000, which, thinking about it now, everyone goes on about the 60, the 3000, especially the 3000, even the 2000 XL. But the 2000, I never used the XL, to be honest, but the 2000 I absolutely loved. And I sold my 3000 for a price that I don't actually even want to say. It was peanuts. And when I see how much they go for now, And I really look after my stuff as well. So this was, although it was about 4 or 5 years old when I sold it, it was in pristine condition. I dread to think how much it would be, because if I still owned it now, it would still be in pristine condition, because that's just how I am with my equipment. It's how I've been with my guitars over the years. Anything that I've bought, especially stuff that I bought brand new, it tends to, I'm also one of those people that keeps boxes as well. I'm sorry, I'm sure there are a bunch of you out there, but I keep boxes. So it had the original box, the original manual, everything. Sold it for peanuts. Loved the 2000. And most of my stuff in the late 1990s, the stuff I did with Liquid People, Deep Liquid Soul, Africanism, Strictly Rhythm, was all done on a 2000. In fact, my first Strictly Rhythm releases were just done on a 2000 and nothing else. I think I had an S1000 that I was using for a few of the longer samples, just purely because it was easier to program key groups and stuff like that on the 1000 and the 3000 and an S3000 as well. But most of the stuff I was using, most of the stuff that I made in that period was on the 2000. Then I bought the 4000. And I was suddenly like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is like, because I wasn't really using computers then, to be honest. I'd gone out, I'd come out the other side of the whole Cubase and the Atari 2600, that kind of thing. I just was completely in the box using an MPC. But the 4000 was kind of like taking some of the technology that was happening in computers at the time. You know, you had plugins and stuff inside the 4000 effects rather, and suddenly you kind of had a computer inside a box and you had an MPC, and it was kind of building on the technology from the Akai samplers of the time as well, which had stepped up from the S3000. They're called the Z series, I think that's what they were called, if I remember rightly. Again, I could check. But the 4000, yeah, I loved. But it didn't. I kept my 2000. In fact, when I sold most of my equipment, I actually sold my 2000 last. I got rid of my SP1200. My 3000 had already gone. All of my Roland synths and the Junos, the SH101, all of that stuff went. MPC 2000 was the last thing to go, and I do actually miss that. I miss that more than the 4000, and I don't miss the 3000 really when I think about it at all. Although I would like to own a 3000 now. Anyway, this was kind of like a discussion piece. I really just wanted to kind of say, firstly, I wanted to say thank you to Akai. Thank you to Roger Lynn. Thank you to everybody that's ever used MPCs, all the people that I've met along the way using an MPC, everything, all the music that I've done that's come out of using an MPC. It was just kind of a discussion piece. But most of all, what I wanted to get to after that massive build-up was, where do we think that Akai is going to take the MPC next? And this might be a little bit controversial. This is just my opinion, and I would love to hear your opinions. Please, in the communities that I'm part of, in the Akai MPC Tutorials group that I run, in the MPC Mix and Masters group that is on Facebook, that is becoming a massive community, is kind of taking the place of the MPC gang. I just want to hear what your views are. Where do you think Akai is going to take the MPC? Where do you think it's going? And my controversial view is, I personally think that Akai don't really know where they're going at the moment. I kind of think they're in limbo a little bit. I think the MPC3 software firmware update and the coming software for computers, they're kind of feeling where their demographic is going to go, because I think they're a little bit unsure. They've got the old school guys that have been around for a long time. I suppose I put myself in that category. Some of whom are dead stuck on the old school way of doing things. Some of the older guys, I would like to put myself in this category, who do embrace the old school stuff, but are also embracing the new way of doing things. So you've got those kind of people. Then you've got the new school guys who have only just bought MPCs, for instance, or have been kind of playing around with MPCs for a long time, but not seriously, but now have kind of got into them more seriously. And then you've just got these new people that don't know the history of MPCs whatsoever, and have just bought an MPC very recently and are just discovering sampling for the first time. I don't think Akai really know where they're going with it. it kind of feels a little bit lost. It kind of feels like they're kind of reaching out and not asking us where we think it should go, but just kind of seeing what our reaction is to it. What frightens me is, will they be able to take it in a direction that caters for everybody? Because that's tough to be able to do that. What I think Akai have done so well so far up to this point is they've been able to keep the old school guys and keep the old school guys who embrace new technology, and they've taken on these new people that don't know anything about MPCs. That's quite something to be able to do that as a company. And hats off to Akai for being able to do that. But I do feel like there's kind of they're kind of in limbo a little bit at the moment. So I'm excited to see where it goes. But in answer to a question that I got asked the other day, where do I think Akai are taking things? I don't really know. And I don't think they do either. But I would really, really love to hear what your views are on it. So please below, let me know what you think your views are. I want it to be a discussion piece, like I said, right at the start. And I'm going to get back to my usual videos next week. But in celebration of the fact that I've been using MPCs for 35 years, which is quite something to me, I wanted to just sort of create a little bit of a discussion piece. So let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. This is The Craig's Motel. My name's Conan. Till next time.